After one of the most cryptic and mysterious rollouts of all time, Yeat has finally released his highly anticipated album 2093, and I don't think the reaction to this record could have been any crazier. Now on one side, people are bashing this album, saying that Yeat's change in sound is lazy and that the record lacks the excitement that made his earlier projects building up to this so refreshing, and on the other hand, you got people praising this record, saying it's one of the most creative musical experiences they have heard in years, and while the reception of this album has definitely been polarizing, what's undeniable about it, whether you love or hate it, is that this record truly sounds like nothing else we have ever heard. From start to finish, 2093 is an album that is designed to feel like it's from another universe. The spacey dystopian production makes this record sound like it very well could be the soundtrack to the next Blade Runner or Tron movie, and this sci-fi inspired musical atmosphere immerses you into a world unlike any other record you will find. Now, in an era where a lot of projects from new artists end up being unfocused and all over the place as they just carelessly throw in enough different sounding songs that it guarantees that something will stick and go viral, it's actually quite refreshing to hear a young rapper bet an entire record's success on a distinct sound and flesh out the entire experience through it. So when it comes to how Yeat actually did when creating an entire album with one new sound, between the production to his own performance, this is without a doubt the most ambitious record he has ever made. While Yeat's music before this was still very different from a lot else in rap because of the spacey vocals and distinct rapping style he had, if you can even call it rapping, 2093 even throws this out the window as Yeat gives us a version of himself who is more focused on giving listeners a truly defining body of work rather than just intense mosh pit anthems. Now, this approach fundamentally changes the intent behind what Yeat's music has been trying to offer the hip-hop world, and while many of his fans seem to be turning against him and calling this album trash because of this reason, if you ask me, I think this was the best thing he could have done for his career. Yeat going for the same old rage bangers would only keep him growing as an artist for so long, and with this record, it represents the turning point in his career where he is trying to evolve into a creative who will truly last in this ever-competitive and always changing landscape that we know as hip-hop. As soon as you hear the intro track on this record, Psycho CEO, you can tell that you are in for an experience that is gonna push Yeat to his absolute limits, as the song champions an energy that tells you he is about to attempt to give us something that will truly change his career forever. Now, if the first track's aura didn't convince you of Yeat's high ambitions for this album, the second song, Power Trip, will floor you away whether you end up loving or hating it, as Yeat delivers a cut where his emotions are more visceral than ever and the production is more serene but also more layered and complex. The small but noticeable contributions that the one and only Childish Gambino drops into this track make this moment all the more gripping, and from here, Yeat only takes all of these aspects to the next level as he hypnotizes anybody listening into the futuristic musical world that is 2093. Now, while people are hating on Yeat and this album for gearing its sound in a direction that trades in the constant amped up energy for a performance that showcases Yeat away from what made him blow up in the first place, I think this was a brilliant creative choice, as it allows for Yeat to expand his artistry and make an album that doesn't just evolve his sound, but also finally shows us what he can do when actualizing his potential. Even with 24 tracks, while most albums that are over an hour long in today's day and age feel like absolute torture to listen to, somehow 2093 manages to not have a single wasted track, as everything on the record is done with intent and purpose, and this is a sentiment to Yeat's undervalued creativity and today, what we should just call respect for fans, because Yeat does not waste a second of your time. Now, I think a lot of the hate this album is getting is simply because people are not ready to hear this type of change in Yeat's sound, but when you get past this notion, that tends to sour people's opinions anytime we see a rapper step out of their comfort zone at all. This record makes for one of the most entertaining listens that I have heard in quite some time, especially after a year in hip-hop where all we did was complain about how boring everything was. We now have an artist who is infusing rap music with elements that you would expect to see in sci-fi film soundtracks, and I mean, how is it even possible to hate on an album that is doing something this out of the box? Now, while some albums take creative leaps and fail miserably, this does not happen here, as Yeat commands this new musical atmosphere with attention to detail that makes this record way more cohesive than most else of what's coming out right now. Throughout 2093, Yeat really lets the production move this album forward through its exciting twists, memorable sample flips, and just never before channeled energy, and along with these layered beat arrangements, the Portland rapper uses his own voice as a sort of instrument in itself to drive the momentum of these records forward. Now, while putting the words Yeat and lyricist in the same sentence just kind of feels a little too disrespectful. Regardless of Yeat's technical songwriting prowess, this is one of the most creative ways I have seen a rapper utilize their own voice and writing skills on an album. Overall, this vision culminates into such an ethereal experience where every moment redefines your expectations of how hip-hop production can sound. Hearing these instrumentals that feel like they are from outer space fits so naturally within the conventions of trap and rage music ends up making for hands down one of the most insane albums that you will end up listening to all year. I am sure of that. Now, my only major critique with this album is that there are not enough features to really add the type of seasoning to make this special musical atmosphere as wondrous as it could be, and while I'm not saying this album needed to be bloated with features like so many mainstream releases are, it could have used some more guests to really give this record the all-time great moments that would have forced everyone to respect what Yeat is doing. Now, I know the whole concept behind this album was Yeat trying to make it feel like it was from the future, and by picking a rapper who raps like a literal alien in Lil Wayne, a one-of-a-kind generational talent in Drake, and Future, which is self-explanatory in the name to make guest appearances, was a great creative decision. But overall, I think Yeat should have gone further into this hat of names to really flesh out this part of the statement he was trying to make. Rappers like Travis Scott, Playboi Carti, Lil Uzi Vert, and maybe even Kanye West would have all played into the dynamics and narrative of 2093, maybe even better than the artists we did see in full force on this record, but aside from this missed opportunity to really make this experience stand as something greater than it already is. For everything else Yeat did, I can't say much else to knock him. Putting everything into perspective, 2093 is a record that encapsulates you into a musical world better than most other recent albums have, and I cannot commend Yeat enough for sticking true to his vision and giving us something that is so unique and special. This is hands down one of the best produced albums of the past few years in rap music, as it doesn't just tread on new ground, but it's also a masterclass in how to build a consistent musical atmosphere that is just as exciting as it is well pieced together. As 2093 begins to really make its mark on the hip-hop world, it will definitely be interesting to see how such a divisive record ages and how it will affect the genre going forward. Many people are already comparing this record's initial release to the way Whole Lotta Red was perceived when it dropped, and while becoming as influential and well-loved as Playboi Carti's now iconic 2020 LP will be a hard feat to pull off. Only time will tell how this groundbreaking release from Yeat shakes up the rap world, but based on what we have already seen from this one-of-a-kind experience, no matter what its legacy ends up being, it's clear that 2093 will change the rap world in some shape or form. So overall, based off my first impressions of this album, I would give it an 8 out of 10. This is easily a must-listen to record if you're a fan of rappers like Travis Scott and Kanye West, simply because of the innovative spacey production and overall attention to detail, and if you want to just listen to something new and creative. I cannot recommend this album enough. Thank you for watching, your support means everything, and if you want to see my thoughts on Kanye West's new album, Vultures, check out the suggested video.